Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for Monday, May 25th, 2026. I will call the meeting to order and ask for the adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councillor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3, public hearings. Item 3.1, public hearing. I will call that public hearing into order. And yes, actually related to item 1426. Just to understand that members of the public in attendance who wish to speak against or for land use bylaw amendment 14-2026 will have a 5-minute time limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record, and also must state if they're speaking for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. Mr. Thibault.
So for council's in the gallery's perspective, I've put the parcel up on the map on the board, and we'll get Ms. Hillary Jansen to come forward and speak to it for council.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jansen.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Today for public hearing for bylaw 14-2026, this is to have first reading of the bylaw was held, as you may recall, just about a month ago on April 27th. Council provided first reading of this bylaw, so we're now proceeding with the public hearing portion. Administration was in receipt of this application to redesignate or rezone civic address 5915 and 6001 50th Avenue from light industrial to medium industrial. This would facilitate the future development in accordance with the medium industrial district. The applicant, as you probably saw within the agenda package, has indicated they wish to develop the site for a bulk fuel storage and distribution facility on the property. So under the current light industrial district, this use is not a permitted or a discretionary use. As such, they have requested this or submitted this application to rezone. If this rezoning were successful, the applicant would still be required to submit their development permit applications to the town administration to be reviewed and for approval. The Planning and Development Department has reviewed this application and can provide the following comments. The proposed rezoning is adjacent to existing M1 and M2 titles and to the comprehensive commercial district to the south, so across the roadway. So this rezoning, in our opinion, would not negatively impact any of those adjacent lands. We didn't receive any comments from any of the adjacent landowners with regards to this application, just so that you're aware. The property in question does have excellent highway access to Highway 3 and 36 and has all the required services to the parcel. As you can see, it is a already developed site, so they have a building on site that they would reutilize, and then they would just develop the rest of the site to meet their specific needs. This particular rezoning was sent out to Alberta Transportation, the MD of Taber, Alberta Health Services, and none of them had any concerns with regards to the proposal. So with regards to our due diligence in terms of notification, the rezoning application was advertised in the May 13th and 20th editions of the Taber Times and was also mailed out to landowners within 100 meters of the property, which is part of our notification policy. As I mentioned, we didn't receive any feedback from the public regarding this application, either from the mail out or from the advertisement in the paper. The administration is in support of this particular application, as it does seem to fit within the area and would not unduly impact adjacent properties. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Johnson. Hearing that, any questions for Ms. Johnson whatsoever? None whatsoever, all right. Is there anyone present wishing to speak against land use bylaw amendment 14-2026? Anyone present wishing to speak against land use bylaw amendment 14-2026 a second time? And anyone present wishing to speak against land use bylaw amendment 14-2026 a third and final time? All right, seeing none. Anyone present wish to speak for land use bylaw amendment 14-2026? Anyone present wish to speak for land use bylaw amendment 2026 or 14-2026 a second time? Anyone present wish to speak for land use amendment 14-2026 a third and final time? All right, seeing none. Let's ask for that motion. Councilor Renford, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that council accepts for information the input received at this public hearing for Land Use Bylaw Amendment 14-2026 for an amendment to the Land Use Bylaw.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I hereby close that public hearing. Also call item 3.2, public hearing meeting to order. Once again, members of the public in attendance who wish to speak against or for land use bylaw amendment 15-2026 will have a 5-minute time limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record, and also must state if they are speaking for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. Mr. Thibault?
Again, I've got the parcel location up on the TV screens, and we'll have Ms. Jansen come forward and speak to this one.
Thank you.
For this next public hearing for bylaw 15-2026, this application is to rezone the subject parcel as noted on the screen from residential 1 to residential 4, which is a comprehensive residential district, which allows for multiple buildings on a parcel. So at the April 27th council meeting, first reading of this bylaw was passed, and as such we are having our public hearing today to gain feedback from the public and from any of the external agencies for your consideration on a decision. So if this application were successful, as with any other rezoning, the applicant would still be required to submit their development permit application to be reviewed and approved by the town. With regards to our review of this particular application, we have the following comments to present. The proposed rezoning would allow for similar development to which has occurred in the area directly to the east. So there would be a compatibility of uses. The proposed site is consistent with the town's municipal development plan, specifically policy 3.6.4D, which states that higher density housing forms shall be encouraged in residential areas. The proposed development would have a higher density housing, but as I mentioned before, it's consistent with some of the existing development in the area. If the rezoning, I already read that one. The proposed rezoning was also sent to Alberta Transportation, Alberta Health, the MD of Taber, ECHO, TELUS, and Fortis to gain their feedback. The MD of Taber did send back comments stating that at the time of development and when the associated IDP referral is received as a discretionary use, the MD would like to have a further discussion on the proposed roadway width and how the connection would interconnect with the broader transportation network, particularly within that new Southeast Area Structure Plan that's currently under development. As you may be aware, the title directly to the north of this parcel is within the MD of Taber, so it's that little kind of odd chunk out of the town. So that's specifically why they were circulated on this, but it is within our referral area anyhow. None of the other agencies that were circulated had any concerns with regards to this application. This rezoning, as with the other one, was advertised on May 13th and 20th editions of the Taber Times and mailed out to landowners within 100 meters. We did receive, at the time that I wrote this report, we hadn't received any comments, but I did receive one afterwards, which I will read for you now.
All right.
So this came in, I was on holiday, so I didn't receive it until after the deadline to submit. So, Dear Mayor and Council, I am writing to express my opposition to the proposed rezoning of 4301 55th Street from single-dwelling residential R1 to multi-dwelling residential R2 to allow for the construction of 3 additional 8-plex buildings, which would be 24 units. When this neighborhood was originally planned and marketed, it was intended to be a single-dwelling residential area. Many of us purchased our homes with the understanding that the surrounding properties would remain low density and consistent with the character of the neighborhood. This proposed rezoning represents a significant departure from that original intent. And then they have 4 points to follow. Overconcentration of multi-unit buildings. The area adjacent to the proposed site already contains several multiplex developments. Adding 3 more 8plexes would create an excessive concentration of high-density housing in a very small area. This level of density is not compatible with the existing single-family homes and would fundamentally change the character of the neighborhood. 2, traffic and congestion concerns. Traffic is already a challenge in this part of town due to the number of multi-unit buildings nearby. Increasing the density by another 24 units will inevitably worsen congestion, increase street parking pressure, and raise safety concerns for pedestrian especially children who walk or bike in the area. The current infrastructure was not designed to support this level of density. Impact on quality of life and property values. Residents who invested in single-family homes did so with the expectation of a quieter, less congested environment. A sudden shift to higher density developments risks diminishing the quality of life for existing homeowners and may negatively affect property values. Stability and predictability in land use planning are essential for maintaining trust between the town and its residents. Precedent for future rezoning. Approving this application may set precedent that encourages further rezoning requests in established single-dwelling neighborhoods. This would undermine long-term planning and create uncertainty for homeowners who are relying on zoning regulations when making financial decisions. For these reasons, I respectfully urge Council to reject the proposed rezoning and preserve the integrity of the existing single-dwelling neighborhood. Higher density has its place in Taber, but it must be planned thoughtfully and located where infrastructure and neighborhood design can support it. Thank you for considering the concerns of residents who are directly affected by this proposal. I appreciate your time and your commitment to respond to responsible community planning. So that was the letter that was received. So just with regards to some of the comments that were made with regards to this particular development would gain access off of 55th Street, primarily with a probably secondary access on a new street that would be to the east. So just to put things in context, I do believe that was also in your agenda package. You could see how traffic flows would work with that. So just to kind of, with regards to congestion in the area and traffic flows, this is something that we did talk about with the applicant and to ensure that there was minimal impact of development on existing landowners. With regards to rezoning applications, obviously every landowner in the town has the ability to submit a rezoning application at their discretion, and then that comes forward for your consideration, which is the public process. And as I mentioned in our planning comments, we take into consideration when reviewing an application what are our existing policies within the town. So looking at our municipal development plan is key. So that document is our overall arching policy with regards to land use framework within the town. And as I did mention, there is provisions in there to look at higher density. That plan is about 10 years old, but I do believe that's still something that the town strives to do. So just to kind of put that into context when you're thinking about, not to devalue any comments, but just to the context in which the town has policies already. And with regards to the zoning, I do believe there was a zoning change here, must have been a few years ago, with regards to the properties directly to the east where some other multi-unit developments were happening, because those are under the R3 zoning, so not single family either. So with that, I think that concludes all the information that I have currently, Mr. Mayor, for my portion of the public hearing. I'll let you carry on.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jensen. Any questions for Ms. Jensen whatsoever? None whatsoever. All right, thank you. Is there anyone present wishing to speak against Land Use Bylaw Amendment 15-2026? Anyone present wish to speak against Land Use Bylaw Amendment 15-2026 second time? Anyone present wish to speak against Land Use Bylaw Amendment 15-2026 a third and final time? All right, seeing none. Anyone present wish to speak for Land Use Bylaw Amendment 15-2026? Anyone present wish to speak for Land Use Bylaw Amendment 15-2026 a second time? And anyone present wish to speak for Land Use Bylaw Amendment 15-2026 a third and final time? All right, seeing none, so I'm prepared to make that required motion. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Council accepts for information the input received at this public hearing for Land Use Bylaw Amendment 15-2026 for an amendment to the Land Use Bylaw.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I hereby close that hearing. Right on to adoption of minutes, item 4, item 4.1, minutes, regular meeting of council, May 11th, 2026. Mr. Thibault.
Administration has no adjustments to the minutes. Back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions arising? So we're prepared to make that motion. Councillor Antlik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on May 11th, 2026 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Business arising from the minister are none. Item 6, bylaws. Item 6.1, bylaw 14, 2026 land use bylaw rezoning. Mr. Tebow.
So in relation to the public hearing, this is the second reading. Council will note that we are just asking for the second reading and not the third reading at this time because of the public hearing. So I'll turn it back over to council and over to Hillary if there's any questions around the agenda item.
All right. Any questions? This is the last asked that same question. Okay. All right. Someone prepared to make that motion? Councillor Sparks?
Mr. Mayor Prokop, I'd like to make the motion that council approve second reading to bylaw 14-2026 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.2, bylaw 15-2026 land use bylaw rezoning. Mr. Tebow.
Pretty much the same as the last one. For the public hearing, we are just asking for second reading, and Ms. Hillary Jansen's here for any questions.
All right. No further questions. Someone prepared to make that motion? Councillor Renfro.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that council approve second reading to bylaw 15-2026 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.3, bylaw 2026 land use bylaw rezoning. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, so this is a new one for council to look at. This will be a first reading, and we'll have Ms. Hillary Jansen walk through this one. I'll put the map up on the screen.
Thank you, Council. So this application for first reading, being bylaw 21-2026, is to rezone a parcel from light industrial to medium industrial. The civic address for this is 5814 and 5816 64th Avenue. As you may know it is the Techno Trash property. So with regards to this particular rezoning application, this application was submitted as it was required to bring the property into compliance with our existing land use bylaw. So currently under the M1 zoning, the use has gone beyond what would be typically allowed within that district, and we can no longer provide, they can't receive approval on applications that they submit. So they are required to rezone. In order to grow, they would have to rezone to the M2 district. If this rezoning were successful, the applicant would be required to submit permit applications to be reviewed and approved by town administration. So with regards to the issue with compliance, just to kind of clarify that for council, is that they have a large amount of outdoor shipping containers, which aren't allowed within the M1 district. And there's also just the use in general, I think, has evolved over time with the amount of outdoor storage. So that's part of what we want to bring into compliance. They are existing today, like to a certain extent, so that it's not that they're not completely non-conforming, but this just would bring their whole property into line with our land use bylaw. So if council proceeds with first reading of the bylaw, we would proceed with the public hearing and the advertising for this particular application. And I'm anticipating that we would have the public hearing for this at the next council meeting. So I will turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Jansen on this one? Right? Seeing none. Lisa Ty. Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I beat you. I would just like to make the prepared motion that council gives first reading to bylaw 21-2026 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.4, bylaw 13-2026 land use bylaw text amendment. Mr. Tebow.
So we'll stick with Hillary while she's standing there. Council recalls we have done the first two readings of this. This is the third reading, and I'll hand it over to Hillary for the rest on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As you recall, on May the 11th, which was the last council meeting, second reading of this bylaw was approved. And so here we are for a third reading of the bylaw. At the public hearing, there was no comments or concerns. Actually, there was support for this particular amendment to the DC4 district, being the zoning for the Meadows subdivision. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you. questions whatsoever? None. All right. Someone prepared to make that motion? Counselor Weeb?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approve third reading to bylaw 13-2026 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.5, bylaw 22-2026. Mr. Tebow.
This is again a first reading for a bylaw. I'll put the map up on screen and let Hillary speak to what's going on here.
So with regards to this first reading of bylaw 22-2026, so this is a little bit different for the town. We don't have too many amendments to existing area structure plans. But in this case, there was a request by a new landowner for these parcels to develop townhousing in this area. So the Northwest Area Structure Plan is an older plan. As you can see from our the report, is from 2016, which predates our new land use bylaw. So there is a little bit of a disconnect between our land use bylaw and this plan and what the developer would like to do. So in reviewing this in great depth, it was determined that they would need to amend the the area structure plan so that they can do the townhousing. Currently, under our low density designation within this plan, it doesn't allow townhousing. It only allows single and semi-detached type dwellings, and it's very explicit in that plan. And townhousing is considered medium density, which is, like I said, a little offside of what our current land use bylaw is, but this is a higher level plan, and so this one prevails in terms of what the planning department can look at in terms of documentation. So if you're kind of wondering why the zoning kind of fits, but this doesn't fit, this is the weird world that planning lives in and that we have to abide by. So with that, this application would be to redesignate those two pieces of land along 56th Avenue from low density to medium density so that the townhousing would now be in compliance with all orders of all orders of statutory plans within the town. With regards to first reading, this obviously just sets the stage for our public hearing that we'll have in a couple weeks. But just on the outset, there is no concerns with regards to this particular application, as it meets our requirements of our municipal development plan in terms of having density along our major corridors, and 56th Avenue is one of the town's major corridors, as I'm sure you all are aware of. So with that, we have recommended that council give first reading of bylaw 22-2026 to amend the plan, and I do anticipate, or I am planning to have the public hearing for this at the next council meeting.
All right, thank you. Counselor Antnak.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Services can handle the medium density and everything?
So the deep services are already into these particular parcels, so the water and sewer services are already in there. That was something that was done a few years ago when 56th Avenue was being constructed. And there is, they are working with regards to the shallow utilities, the ACO and Fortis, to get those shallow utilities in. I think they have their plans in already to Fortis for that. I don't think ACO is a problem, so.
All right, Counselor Antnak.
With that, I'm prepared to make the motion.
Sure, very well.
I move that council gives first reading to bylaw 22-2026 to amend the Northwest Area Structure Plan bylaw 12-2026.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Counselor Sorensen?
I just had a question, if that's all right, just in relation to Councillor Antonyuk's question. So if we have more density in this area, the future development, will there be needing any changes for infrastructure for that development then?
Thanks, Councillor Sorensen, through the mayor. There is a plan, so this kind of jumped the gun on terms of my amendment to the Northwest Area Structure Plan. So we will be looking in depth at that plan in terms of what's fitting, what's working in that plan, and seeing if there's any adjustments that need to be made in terms of the land use. I don't believe that this would impact any of the servicing for the rest of the area, though.
All right, Mr. Tebow.
Just in addition to that comment, all these lots that you're seeing there were developed for semi-detached units at the time. So all the calculations that took place back then were based on semi-detached units, and I think that there wouldn't be much of a difference from a service requirement for this updated development.
All right, thank you. Do have a motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7, action items. Item 7.1, MEMP update. Mr. Thibault.
So I see that Assistant Chief Amy West is here, so I'm suspecting that she's been tasked to come forward and talk about the Municipal Emergency Management Plan update. While I was away, I believe there was an emergency management meeting with the committee, and so this would be going along hand in hand with that. So, Amy.
AC West, welcome. All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you. And I was just wondering, how do we share this to the public then? So that everybody knows where the muster point is for their neighborhood?
Yeah, I could speak on that. This will get posted on our webpage, and I'd have to check with Chief Munshaw as what we've done in the past. I don't know how they've got that information out there on all those on the previous plans, because it wouldn't be brand new information. But I don't know that they exist in every place. I know they exist in some. They definitely exist for our buildings. But I have to check with Chief Munshaw, and I can get back to council on that.
All right, and I don't have a question, just a comment, and I know there's a lot of work done with this, Amy, and thank you so much for all your extra efforts as well. So yourself and whoever else is involved with that, I know it's a big job, so thank you so much. Great job. All right, thank you. Any other questions for Amy? All right, Councillor Sorensen.
Sure, I'd like to make the motion that council hereby accepts and approves the 2026 Municipal Energy Management Plan update as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 7.2, grant funding resolution. Mr. Thibault.
So I will bring some councillors back in time in April of 2025. We actually had put this motion forward for Trail 77. They came with a funding request that if they could fundraise $100,000, if the town could match that. They also went to the MD. So the town and the MD both decided that they would match that. In our original motion, though, we neglected to put in where we were going to match that from. So this is just following up on that, and the recommendation is suggesting that that come from capital reserves. So I believe it was always the intention for council to support that. We just didn't have the funding location. So that's what this one's about.
All right, thank you. Fairly straightforward, I believe. Any questions attached to that? Councillor Rufford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can make the motion that council directs administration to allocate the previous $100,000 commitment for Trail 77 to come from capital reserves.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.3, TP location council resolution. Mr. Thibault.
Okay, so this initiated initiated through the rec board, and there was a delegation from Eagle Spirit Nest that came. Administration had proposed, 4 or 5 different locations. I believe the original proposal was to land in the Trout Pond Park from Eagle Spirit Nest. We presented back to Eagle Spirit Nest. They took that away to their board, and they have come back and decided that they would like the TP location to be constructed in the Trout Pond area, and actually selection number 1, where the first picture is with the cement pad, was their preferred location. Outside of that, there's nothing more to really talk about. They were putting forward all the costs. They had asked if the town could help with, I think, cementing the posts in or something like that, if that's still a requirement. Operationally, we can handle that cost. And Brian Martin is here if there were any detailed questions that I wouldn't be able to field.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Antnek?
Just a question, I guess, to Brian or Darren. Was there original use for that concrete pad? Because I've gone past it all the time, and I was just wondering if there was an original use for it.
Well, it looks like he's dying to tell you, so.
It was originally a camp kitchen on that pad, I believe, many moons ago. It's been removed, obviously, and it's just sitting vacant. We probably have to do something with it, but the location's perfect in relation to the pathway and parking and washrooms and such. So that's why we sort of chose it as the preferred location.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In that same vein, through to Mr. Martin, was there a plan? I'm looking at like the concept master plan picture, and there's little icons, but I can't tell what those icons were intended to be. So was this planned? Was there something else planned for this area that needs to be shifted somewhere else now? If we choose to put the teepee there?
No, I don't believe so. It was just vacated because the dilapidated building was removed. So
Thank you.
sorry if I don't have any more than that. So
All good. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tebow.
Just in relation to that, Councillor Firth, the dots that would be in that area were speaking to a future maybe sandy dump site and something like that, I believe, is what they were, what was proposed in that area, but not right here on the pad. It was to the south a bit more. So I don't think there was nothing scheduled for this particular pad.
All right, any other questions? Right, someone prepared to make the motion? Councillor Antnek, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make the motion. I move that council directs administration to work with Eagle Spirit Nest Community Association and allow ESNA to use the concrete pad located at Trout Pond entrance for the location to construct the learning teepee.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.4, information for council. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, so there's 4 items to speak about. Item number 1, just the Chinook Arts Library Board report. So if anyone had any questions, I'm probably not the right person to answer those questions, but the report is there for your review. I did bring forward an information update to the Horsefly Spillway project. Again, I'm not the foremost expert on this project, but if council recalls, many years ago, there was a commitment to participate in the Horsefly Spillway project. And this seemed to be a really nice summary to bring forward to council. We are looking at moving into the ends of phase 2, beginnings of phase 3. This project has evolved a lot of times over the course of, I think this project has been happening even before I got here. So that's 5 years now. The MD has done an excellent job advocating for additional funds when we have proposals that come in higher than the funding that was previously recognized to be borne amongst all the partners. And there's been no additional request from the MD to the town of Taber or any of the partners that was outside of the original contemplation of the money. So that being said, it is still an evolving project, and I believe we may have another request or another draw coming up in 2026 for around the $200,000 mark, depending on how projects costs come in. So if anyone recalls Jack Dunsmore, he's still the one overseeing this multi-phase project, and it's been an expensive endeavor for all the parties involved, but it's also been going quite well. We are trying to get ourselves through phase 3, which is dealing with the Atlantic property and going underneath the railroad tracks, which is always a bit of a process to get things to happen in that area. Outside of that, I don't have a whole bunch more, but if council had any questions, I might be able to either go away or field them.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that note? Okay.
Okay, administration also had a request come in. If council recalls, the Taber Titans were kind enough to donate $50,000 towards the dryland facility that we were talking about, and that was to go towards the construction of that facility. Since then, in case anyone wasn't aware, we did have a little mishap in our community center, and the Titans are wishing to repurpose that $50,000 toward the arena. And so there was no motion required on this, being that it was their money and it was the donation money. And so I just wanted to let council know that administration will move forward with putting this towards the redoing of the community center in some way, shape, or form. I don't know exactly where the money is going to go to at this point in time, but I know that it will be easily used. So that was for council's information. And of course, appreciation to the Taber Titans for being mindful of that and providing that money for the dryland facility at the beginning. And then lastly, we have the community center update. So Mr. Egan has returned from his time away, and we did have some other questions that came forward through Councillor Sorensen earlier today. So we have the update here. I can get Chris to speak to that, and Chris, if you're willing to field whatever else comes his way. So, Mr. Egan.
All right, thank you. Mr. Egan, welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back. As you can see from the update in the package, we are continuing to work on asbestos abatement in the small ice and curling arena areas. And then generally we're setting up for the construction of the block mall that was blown down and caused all the asbestos problems. Once that's complete, we'll be able to do what is largely furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So the boards, netting, ice plant work, things of that nature. Replacing some of the items that because of the asbestos disposal, was required to be thrown away because it couldn't be cleaned. So things like the unit heaters over the stands and the banners were salvaged and cleaned, and they'll have to be put up, and light fixtures, things like that. So generally we're progressing well. We realize that we can see July the 15th on the horizon, which is the date where we want to start putting ice in for the Versette Hockey School. So.
All right, thank you, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you for the update, and that's great, and I'm glad that everybody's working together really hard to meet these goals that we're trying to achieve. I was just wondering, as council, how do we move forward in deciding what we're going to move on in regards to rebuilding, repurposing? What's the stages in that for us as it comes up?
So blending an existing facility with a proposed facility that we're currently, the feasibility study that's ongoing now, will identify the program requirements for a new facility or facilities. Typically that program requirement is the types of users that will occupy the building and their requirements. And then there'll be some suggestions in that feasibility study of how we might incorporate some of those requirements potentially in the existing building and also in a new building or buildings. Typically those, although we talk fairly coherently, those types of decisions come from and out of the programs. You might have 5 different buildings if that's the program requirements and they're not compatible with each other. So some of those unknowns are pretty predictable at this point in time, and I wish I could give you a very certain answer, other than we know we will be able to solve those problems and those questions. We also have a grant funding application in that prior to the event looked at removing the small ice and putting a second sheet of ice in. That was about a $10 million ask of the government, and so that's still out there and pending. And what I think you'll see is the feasibility study will come back fairly soon, That will inform us and council. Administration will be able to bring back some recommendations of what are the next steps. And so we're not too far away from actually be able to give you a proper answer to that question and sort of map out what that might look like and what the options might look like. There's still several decisions to be made, and they're not going to be small decisions, but they're the perfect decisions for the elected representatives of the town people to say, we want more of this and less of that, and then we can go away. At the end, you've heard me say this before, whatever council decides, we can execute. We've got lots of good staff, and we've got good designers in the province and contractors, and so it's just a question of figuring out. The hard part is that great unknown of what do we want, and as administrators, we don't decide that for the town, but we'll provide that professional advice on what it means, how much it'll cost, what things might go together and be co-located together. What's the best use of the existing building? Do we build a brand new curling facility or not? So all that stuff it's a great question. I don't have a very good answer for it, or a specific answer for it at the time, but that information is building, and we'll be able to predict the next step and then come up with a discussion, and council will give a direction. There's plenty of steps to go in these process there. As they like to say in the business, projects are progressively elaborated, meaning we put pieces together, and it'll become very clear over a period of time and a number of decisions what the right answer will be. So muddled now, but becoming clearer in the future.
All right, thank you. Mr. Thibault?
I just wanted to add to that as far as a financial perspective. I was hoping that we might have the next set of financials ready for this meeting, but we haven't got those yet. So maybe in the June 8th meeting, there'll be some other financial information that will also help inform council as to where we're at from a financial perspective on the project. So currently, what I was able to provide council was everything up until about March 15th. And so hopefully we can get our next proof of loss statement number 2, and it will give us a financial picture.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you. Mr. Thibault?
That was all the items for the information. So I guess unless there were any other questions in that regard, we can head on to the next agenda item.
Great, thank you. No motion required there. Item 7.5, operational highlights. Mr. Thibault?
I don't have any specific things to point out in the operational highlights. So if council would like to go through each one of them, if there were questions, I hope I have enough people here to help answer them.
I'll just go through the list, and if anybody's got any questions, just stop me and we'll go through that accordingly. First up is plan and development, economic development. Councillor Sorensen?
Yeah, I think we just need to recognize the department for their award that they received at the Economic Development Conference. Not sure if I can put Amy on the spot, but if you can kind of tell us about the project that we won the award for, if that's all right. Sorry.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sorensen. So we won the award for Celebrate Tabor, which was for the Small Community Marketing Campaign. For the Celebrate Tabor campaign that we ran last year for our 120th anniversary. So focused around that event, but also highlighting all the other events that we had going on around town and the marketing campaign that went with them.
Great, thank you. We didn't bring the hardware in? We didn't bring the hardware in? No, it's wearing it. Okay.
Around your neck.
Is it? Oh, okay, okay. Is it not a
It's a
trophy or
award.
something? Yeah,
I was
okay.
just joking. I thought you'd have it
I did
around
see
your-
the picture, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next, oh, sorry, go ahead.
And just since Amy's here, can she mention Tabor's Table and just the event that we're holding? Would that be all right?
Yeah, whatever Amy already knows about that, for sure.
About Tabor's Table? Yes, absolutely. So Tabor's Table is scheduled for August 15th. Tickets went on sale a week ago, so they are on sale on Eventbrite. You can purchase your tickets, It'll be in the park here in Confederation Park, August 15th. Tickets are $100 each, and there's 100 tickets. It's all local food, all local chefs, and it's going to be a great time.
Great, thank you. All right, on to Parks and Recreation. Fire Department. Oh, sorry, Councillor Weed, go ahead.
I don't have a question about Parks and Recreation. I just did want to say thank you to the Town of Taber staff. The town supported the Myers Grad Committee and made sure everything was nice for graduation, that all the flowers were watered and everything was cleaned up. The staff there were great to work with, making sure that the doors were open and everything for the committee. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Fire Department highlights. CAO operational highlights. Administrative services. Treatment operational highlights. Corporate services. And engineering and public works. Councillor Reid?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a question through to administration. I was asked about the removal of the trees at the Legion Park and if those will be replaced. Are you able to give me information on that?
I don't have it. Chris, do you have anything that you can know? Okay, we'll take that away and we'll find you some answers for that.
All right, no other questions on anything listed? All right, no motion, no motion required for that one. Moving on to Mayor and Council reports. Councillor first, can you start us off, please?
Sure, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I made it to all the meetings that I was required to attend. I missed, Taber Special Needs had a barbecue last week, but I wanted to recognize that it was Community Disability Service Professionals Week. I just wanted to recognize Taber Special Needs and the essential support that they provide to our community, and I'm sorry that I missed the barbecue for that. Also, I wanted to highlight the Smile Cookie campaign and thank everyone that bought cookies. We beat Coaldale. Not that it really matters because the real winners is Barron's Eureka Warner FCSS, but it sure is nice to have the bragging rights this year. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you. Councillor Renlock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended all my scheduled meetings on the boards and committees that I'm a part of, and then beyond that, I did go to the Taber Special Needs Staff Appreciation Barbecue, and it was awesome. And what they do in the volunteer work and what they bring to the community is wonderful. Also, since last report, I didn't report this. I went to the CPMA conference in Toronto and represented the town with CAO Darren Thibault, and we met with, I think it was 17 different companies and just pitched Taber and tried to get any economic development here in Taber. So that was a good experience for me, and I think we had planted a lot of seeds.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did plan all of my meetings that I attended. I also attended a municipal planning conference in Red Deer and learned a lot about municipal planning and how it relates to economic development within the communities. I did attend an economic development education conference in Sterling in regards to what's council's roles for economic development. I attended the Police Commission meeting and their annual police governance conference is in Taber this week. So this Thursday to Saturday. So hopefully we'll be able to meet some interesting people from different communities. And we did have a joint economic development meeting, and we had a very interesting presentation from Canada's Premier Food Corridor. However, their grant is going to be ending here soon in September, and they were wondering if we would have a letter of support for their continuing programming. So stay tuned for that, because I believe it'll be coming forward to us as council. And Taber's Table, I just think it's a very important event for Taber. It is Taber's Table. And as council, I believe that we should support that. So I hope to see most of us council attend that event. I believe the MD is sending out invitations for members of government to attend, do kind of a road trip, go to some farms, and then, of course, come to the event and taste the yummy food. So, yeah. And that's, again, August 15th.
Great, thank you. Councillor Sparks?
Thank you, Mayor Prokop. Past month, I attended all the board, commission, and associating meetings, attended the Highway 320 AGM. Saturday, took a little road trip on the Highway 320 between Tabor, Burdett, and all the way down to Medicine Hat on the back roads to see how that is all coming along. It's going very well. And everything I've attended, things seem to be going very well. And appreciate the boards and commissions we have within the town and the work they do.
Right, thank you. Councillor Rufford?
Mr. Mayor, I attended the meetings I was able to attend, and going to Councillor Firth, it's always nice to beat Coaldale, and it's good. Right on.
Thank you. Councillor Weep?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended every meeting I was able to. I did want to draw council's attention to Chinook Arch. There was a little bit of information in our agenda. The Chinook Arch Board passed a motion to increase the 2027 per capita municipal levy to $8.17 per capita. It is currently at $7.76. It must be approved by 2/3 of member councils, including the City of Lethbridge Council. So that may be updated. And I also want to draw attention that the provincial government has passed Bill 28 in response to Alberta Public Libraries and library systems have formed a coalition to raise awareness of its potential impact on library operations, facilities, and budgets. There may be an upcoming update provided from the coalition, and if anyone is interested in attending, there's an update webinar from the coalition on Friday, May 29th. I have a Zoom link for it. And there's some concerns with Bill 28 on burdens on local libraries and shifts into taking the decision-making away from the boards of the libraries. So that's why I want to draw your attention to it. Also, the Tabor Agriplex is preparing for upcoming events, including their high school rodeo and bull riding during Cornfest. Thursday, May 28th and Friday, May 29th are the Tabor and District 4-H show and sale. So for those who aren't aware, 4-H is a youth program. It's not just agriculturally based. While that is the main focus of it, there are other clubs in our communities who are for town residents. So Milk River will have information regarding their cat projects, and the Tabor Corn Dogs will be displaying their Exploring 4-H projects. Thursday is the female show starting at 6 p.m. and Friday is the market beef, sheep, and hogs. The show's starting at 10 a.m. with the sale scheduled for approximately 4 p.m.
All right, thank you. For myself, a variety of meetings and document signing requirements. I also attended the FCS's Tim Hortons Smile Cookie kickoff, as well as a couple other attendances during the week. And many people participated as well and supported. And it was a lot of fun, and we did also happen to win this year, selling the most cookies, and I believe it was a total of $32,000 between Tabor and Coaldale. So that went over very well. And the ultimate winners is the FCSS, for sure. I attended the D.A. Ferguson Quebec Exchange dinner invite, as well as the Highway 320 and AGM. Also attended a D.A. Ferguson barbecue wind-up for the delegation of the Quebec Exchange students, as well as the McDonald's Happy Day fundraiser event. I attended the South Grow Cattlemen's dinner invite. It was a nice evening and great connections with our Chinese delegates. Also attended the Tim Hortons Smile Cookie FCSS check presentation. I attended the Tabor Special Needs Staff Appreciation Barbecue as well, and that was very well done and very much appreciated. It went for all they do for our community. Roughly 100 people, I think, Josh. Is that somewhat right? All total there? Yeah. Good attendance. I attended the seniors rodeo event on the Saturday anyway, that ran Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It was very successful overall, and they did a great job there. And some of the our local seniors are also invited from Clearview Lodge and attended and enjoyed that event as well. I also attended the Horizon Christian Program grad ceremony at W.R. Myers and attended W.R. Myers grad ceremony invite as well. And just this past weekend, I attended the Christian Reformed Church 75th anniversary event at the Tabor Christian High School. That'll be my report. So no motion required for that unless there's any other questions. Moving on to item 7.7, notice of motion. Mr. Thibault.
Administration has been endeavoring to get this golf cart bylaw updated in here, just with people away and for various reasons. The 3 or 4 of us could not get ourselves together and organized to have this for this council meeting, but we are looking to be in good shape for next council meeting, so that will come. I have seen golf carts wandering around the town, and they seem to be free to do so. So I don't think, but we do want to get ourselves on this trial, because if it turns into something else after that, we'd like to have everything in place. So I would expect to see this at the next council meeting.
All right, just on that note, I think you and I had a bit of a conversation about that. Coaldale, as far as you know, they had this about a year ago.
They had this in place last year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So things seem to be working all right there, as far as you know.
You know, I haven't heard rumblings one way or the other, so I would say maybe no news is probably good news, because I haven't heard any belly aching.
Right.
And it actually is in a couple other places, because we fashioned this after about 3 or 4 other bylaws. So Coaldale being the closest, but there are other ones, and I haven't heard anything negative through Chief Abella or anyone else with the trial.
Okay, great.
That's all I have for notice of motion, but I'll turn it over to council for anything else.
Thank you, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, and I just wanted to just discuss in this session that it was brought up that e-bikes and scooters are very dangerous in the community, you know, and so I did reach out to administration, and it seems like something's in the works. So I just wanted to verbally kind of have that discussion as to, is there a need for us to update the bylaw to actually write in e-bikes and electric scooters and anything else that they bring up, flying skateboards, who knows?
Yeah, hovercrafts, whatever, yeah. Okay, so I guess that's a little bit of a loaded.
Well, no, I did get an email from Councillor Sorensen earlier, so it was nice to have that. Appreciate that. We are working on the traffic bylaw, and it's been sort of contracted out. That was probably before you were on the traffic committee, Councillor Sorensen. And the thought process there was that maybe that traffic bylaw is getting a bit too large and a bit too clumsy. But e-bikes were discussed, emergency vehicles were discussed. Those little Geo-Go scooters that are wandering around in the middle of roads, also a concern being discussed. So bylaws being worked on. It might come back in the form of multiple bylaws looking at different areas based on what we're seeing out there, but it is in the works.
Councillor Sorensen.
So I know this is kind of hard to say, but do you know a timeline? Because, you know, it is the beginning of the season and we just don't want injuries to happen. So do you know when to expect it back?
I don't have a timeline on that, but we are meeting on the 17th. And so let's put that question out there, because I know we've asked for quite some time. It's been about 3 or 4 months that we had sent that out to that external consultant requesting the assistance. So we can definitely figure that out on the 17th here.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I've had a number of concerns. I've seen it myself in all those areas. Other than the golf carts, I don't know that that's necessarily so problematic, but the scooters and those little Geo units, geez, I don't know. Staying right, you know, and following the rules of the road is great, but and also those little scooters, I can't believe they're able to hold 2 people on there, you know, and 35 clicks or so, like, that's pretty scary. And it's, at some point, there's going to be something occur, and surprised there hasn't been already, actually, but hopefully we can deal with that accordingly, and surely there must be other municipalities also deal with some of the same concerns, right, Mr. Thibault?
Yeah, there certainly is. We've already seen that out there, so they just look at, they're in all different forms, but yes, anythings are
Right.
on the forefront.
No point reinventing the wheel, but the sooner, as Councillor Sorensen said, that we get something in place, it'd be better all the way around, I'm sure. Councillor Sorensen.
Yeah, and I just wanted to state that I'm not against any of that. I just want for us to have public safety when using the devices.
All right, thank you. Any other notice of motion asks or questions, concerns, comments? All right. We have no delegations today. Meeting inquiries, Mr. Tebow?
There are none.
All right, with that, I'd ask for a motion to move into our meal break and then for a meal break rather, and to move into closed session now. Upon our return, Councilor Firth? Sure. Motion on the table.